It began with the quiet rustle of old papers and the scent of dust that had settled on untouched memories. When Eva Harmon returned home to Willow Ridge after 6 years in Chicago, she hadn't planned on staying more than a week. A funeral doesn't usually stretch longer than that, but this wasn't just any funeral. It was her father's. And the house he left behind was the one she had once dreamed of inheriting, alongside the years of love she assumed had never been divided. Until her sister Claire handed her a manila envelope at the end of the wake. No warmth, no eye contact, just a sealed package like a clerk sliding paperwork across a DMV counter. "Dad left something for you," Claire said. Her tone was empty, rehearsed. Eva took the envelope with shaking hands, her father's handwriting on the front, Eva, open privately. She hadn't even had time to grieve. The man had been buried 3 hours ago, and now this? Inside was a single typed page, a private letter, short, cold, final. "Eva, I made decisions I thought were right for the family. Claire will handle the estate. I hope you find peace and remember the good parts. I'll always be proud of you, even if we drifted." Dad. Claire didn't wait for a reaction. "The house is in my name now. It's what he wanted. There's no reading of the will. Dad finalized everything before the hospital." Eva blinked, breath caught. "Wait, everything?" Claire's lips curled just slightly. "Yeah, everything." The Harmon family home, the wide-lawned colonial on Blackberry Lane, had been in their family for 4 generations. Eva was the one who painted its shutters every summer, who organized the kitchen renovation, who had flown back countless times when her dad needed help after his hip surgery. And Claire? She'd lived 20 minutes away for 15 years and only showed up for birthdays and brunches. Something wasn't right. Eva left the room quietly, letter clenched in her fist. Her heels echoed through the hall as she passed the old study, the place her father used to read legal documents and jot notes on yellow pads. When she peeked inside, something strange caught her eye. A corner of a folder was sticking out from the bottom drawer of the old filing cabinet. Not like her dad. He was meticulous. She knelt down, pried it open. Inside, photocopies of an older will, dated 2 years ago, equal split, house to both daughters. There was even a sticky note. Need to revisit this next week. Claire is pressuring me again. Eva's heart thundered. Back in her childhood bedroom that night, she couldn't sleep. Her mind replayed every offhand comment from Claire over the past few years. Dad's just tired. He doesn't want to complicate things. You don't need the house? You're in the city? It had never clicked until now. Claire had been working on their father for years, not just suggesting, manipulating, isolating. Eva stared at the old will, fingers trembling. Her name was there, in ink, legal, unrevoked, as far as she could tell, but the updated paperwork Claire had must have overwritten it. Unless... She opened her laptop and started digging. If her father had made the final amendment under duress, if he'd been mentally impaired from the stroke just 2 months prior, if Claire had forged anything, if the notary was compromised, she needed help. Quiet help. A family lawyer with no ties to Willow Ridge. The next morning, Eva called someone she hadn't spoken to since law school. Adrian Chen, a state lawyer, brilliant, ruthless, and once madly in love with her. "Eva?" Adrian's voice cracked slightly with surprise. "Hey, I need your help, and it's personal." 2 days later, Adrian arrived in Willow Ridge under the guise of college reunion ketchup. He brought coffee, charm, and a fireproof briefcase. Together, they sat in the old sunroom and reviewed every document Eva could find. "You weren't mentioned in the final will," Adrian confirmed, "but this older one wasn't properly revoked either. Your father may have been coerced." Eva's stomach sank. "Claire won't budge. She thinks I'll just walk away." Adrian leaned in. "Then we don't ask her." Eva raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "We investigate, quietly. If we find a single inconsistency, we take it to probate court. But more than that, if Claire lied, we find the cracks. and we make them show. Eva nodded slowly, a glint in her eyes. She wasn't going to let this go, not this time. And somewhere across town, Claire was already preparing the house for renovation. New floors, new walls, stripping away every inch of history that had once belonged to both of them. But Eva wasn't done fighting. She was just getting started. The morning air in Willowridge was deceptively peaceful. Crisp leaves rustled like nothing was wrong, and the white picket fences gleamed in the early sun, as if families here were built on love, not quiet war. Eva adjusted her sunglasses as she watched Claire from her parked car down the street. Her sister stood on the front lawn of their childhood home, directing a pair of contractors who were unloading boxes of hardwood planks. She was smiling, laughing even. Claire always did well under pressure, but Eva noticed her sister's habit of gripping her wrist when she was nervous. She was doing it now. She was hiding something. "Start with the master bath," Claire instructed the contractors, gesturing grandly like a queen reclaiming her palace. "And I want the kitchen gutted by Friday. Everything, even the pantry shelves." She didn't see Eva behind the wheel of her dusty rental car, engine off, watching through the tinted glass like a ghost of her own legacy. As Claire disappeared inside, Eva snapped a photo of the workers, the truck, the invoice taped to the side. Adrian had told her, every detail matters, every financial transaction. If she spent estate funds before full probate, she's in violation. That's leverage. Eva pulled out her phone and texted him. "Got proof Claire started renovations. Estate funds likely used. Want me to confront or stay quiet?" A few minutes passed. Then "Stay quiet. Send everything. Let her bury herself. I'm filing an injunction tomorrow." Eva smiled for the first time in days. Later that afternoon, she walked through the downtown law office of Bertram and Mays, the firm that had handled her father's revised will. Her chest tightened as she passed the receptionist. The receptionist looked up, confused. "I'm sorry, do you have an appointment?" Eva smiled politely. "Just need to drop off some paperwork for an active estate file." "Name of the file?" "Harmon, Jack Harmon." The woman clicked around, then frowned. "Actually, the file's marked confidential. You'd need authorization. Are you the executor?" "No," Eva said, "but I'm his daughter, and I have questions about the will." At that moment, an older man in a navy suit stepped out from a back hallway, graying, slightly out of breath, holding a manila folder. The nameplate on his office door read, "David Mays, partner." He paused when he saw her. "You must be Eva." Her stomach turned. "You knew I'd come." He nodded. "Your father told me you'd have questions someday." "Then why didn't he explain it himself? Why the secrecy? Why give everything to Claire?" David gave her a long look. "He didn't give everything to Claire." Eva froze. He continued, walking her toward his office. "The final will filed was limited in scope. It transferred property, not all assets. The rest was, well, it's complicated." Inside, he pulled out a safety envelope, still sealed, addressed in her father's handwriting, her full name, the letters sharp and deliberate. Eva stared. "What is that?" "Something your father left with me. Told me not to release unless you asked the right question." Eva swallowed. "And what question is that?" He smiled faintly. "Why did Claire rush to claim the house?" She opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside, a notarized trust document. It read, "Irrevocable Living Trust. Beneficiary, Eva Harmon. Assets listed, $370,000 brokerage account, $90,000 in municipal bonds, and 2 antique properties under trust ownership." Eva stared. "He left me the money." David nodded. "And a lot of it. But he knew if Claire found out, she'd come after it. That's why the trust was sealed, registered under a holding name. You were always the more responsible one. He wanted you protected." Eva felt her throat tighten. But if Claire thought she got everything, the house, the power, she'd been playing a game she hadn't fully understood. And now Eva had leverage. That night, Eva sat with Adrian in the corner booth of an old tavern in town. Low lighting, jazz from the speakers, and two open laptops between them. Adrian skimmed the trust paperwork. This changes everything. She thinks I'm cut out, Eva whispered. She thinks I have nothing left to fight with. Adrian looked up. Let her believe it. Meanwhile, we move first. He laid out a legal strategy like a general mapping a battlefield. File for injunctive relief to pause renovations. Demand a state accounting of every dollar spent. Petition to challenge Will's validity based on undue influence. Leverage the hidden trust to reveal Claire's manipulations without revealing full assets. And what if she pushes back? Eva asked. Adrian's eyes darkened. She will, but every lie she tells now, it's a rope she's braiding for herself. Eva leaned back, her mind buzzing, her grief still raw, but her resolve sharpening by the second. Claire thought she won the war the day their father died. But Eva? Eva had only just stepped onto the battlefield. Claire had always been skilled at appearances. To outsiders, she was the grieving daughter, dignified, decisive, holding it all together in the face of sudden loss. She met with realtors, contractors, and even the family's old financial planner, all while wearing muted black and a string of pearls. But beneath her polished veneer, Eva now saw the cracks. Claire was moving fast, too fast, because she didn't know how much time she had before the truth unraveled her script. And Eva, for once, held the match. 3 days later, Claire pulled into the driveway of the Harmon home to find a county court officer taping a bright orange notice to the front door. "Excuse me," Claire barked, heels clicking across the gravel. "What the hell is that?" The officer didn't flinch. "Injunction order. Filed this morning. No renovations, no transactions, no asset transfers until the probate review is complete." Claire's voice dropped. "Filed by who?" He checked the form. "Eva Harmon." Her blood boiled. "She's not even the executor." "Doesn't need to be," the officer replied coolly. "She's a legal heir disputing validity. You'll want to read the fine print." Claire ripped the paper down, crumpling it in her fist. Her phone was already out, dialing. Eva picked up on the second ring. "Hi, Claire." "You unbelievable snake," Claire seethed. "You filed against Dad's will?" "I filed against your manipulation of it," Eva said calmly. "And by the way, you might want to dig up the notary from Dad's hospital signing. Because the one listed, retired 3 years ago." There was silence. A deep, cold silence. Then Claire whispered, "You don't know what you're starting." Eva's voice was quiet, steady. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm starting." Meanwhile, Adrian dug deeper into Claire's financial trail. From the desk of his rented Airbnb, with dual monitors lit and coffee in hand, he clicked through contractor payments, fund transfers, property tax assessments, and one particularly strange expense, a $40,000 check made out to Wren Consulting LLC. He cross-referenced it with public business records. The company didn't offer construction or design services. It was registered to a P.O. box, in Claire's maiden name. He stared at the screen, lips curling. "She's been funneling money out," he said aloud, already saving the screenshots. Back at the Harmon house, Claire was spinning. She canceled the flooring install. She called her attorney, who warned her, if there's even a shred of coercion or financial misconduct, this could go to trial. That night, she sat on the edge of the guest bed, swirling wine and scrolling through old family photos. She paused at one in particular, a summer afternoon, maybe 1998. Claire and Eva on the front porch, barefoot, grinning, arms around their dad. The day they'd painted the shutters together. Claire had barely helped. Eva did all the work, but Claire was the one who got praised. She threw the phone down. Maybe Eva was the responsible one, the better one. But she'd never been the favorite, and Claire wasn't about to lose her crown to someone who left for Chicago. By Friday, Eva had more than an injunction. She had momentum. The forensic handwriting expert Adrian contacted had already flagged inconsistencies between the hospital-filed will and Jack Harmon's usual signature style, and a former nurse at Willow Ridge Medical confirmed that Claire had been visiting daily, alone, in the final weeks before the signing. Eva met the nurse in a corner booth of a coffee shop, notebook open. "He wasn't himself," the woman said, stirring her tea. "Sometimes he didn't even know what month it was. But your sister said she had power of attorney, and she was insistent." "Did he ever ask about me?" The nurse smiled sadly. "All the time, especially in the mornings. He asked if you were coming back. Said he wanted to fix things." Eva blinked fast, swallowing the lump in her throat. "He never said that to me." "I don't think he got the chance." That night, Claire showed up unannounced at Eva's motel door, red-eyed, unraveling. "You think you're going to win," she said, stepping inside uninvited. "But you're not." "I'm not trying to win," Eva said, crossing her arms. "I'm trying to make sure Dad's actual wishes are respected." "Oh, please," Claire snapped. "You think you were some perfect daughter? You left. I stayed. I dealt with everything while you were off being independent and perfect in the city." "You stayed to take what wasn't yours," Eva said softly. "And Dad knew it. That's why he left me the trust. That's why he never revoked the old will." Claire's expression froze. And in that instant, Eva knew she hadn't told Claire about the trust yet. And now she had. Claire recovered quickly, smirking. "Then I hope you enjoy explaining to the court why he left his house to me and everything else to his favorite failure." Eva's voice was ice. "If you think this is about failure, you haven't learned anything." Claire turned to leave. "And Claire," Eva added, "you might want to get a better burner account than Wren Consulting. I already subpoenaed the records." Claire stopped cold, then walked out without another word. Eva sank onto the bed, chest rising and falling, the room filled with the scent of stale carpet and paperwork. Her hands were still trembling, but her heart had steadied. For the first time in weeks, she felt it. Control. And the storm hadn't even hit yet. It rained the next morning. Not a summer sprinkle, but a heavy gray wash that blurred the windows of Adrian's rental and soaked the sidewalks of Willow Ridge. Eva stood under the canopy of the town courthouse, with her hood pulled low and a folder clutched tight against her chest. Inside the folder was everything they'd assembled so far: the old will, the forged signature analysis, the trust document, bank records linking Claire to Wren Consulting, and the signed affidavit from the hospital nurse. It wasn't a case. It was a reckoning. Adrian met her at the clerk's desk with a nod. "Filings in. Motion for discovery granted. Claire will be served by tomorrow." Eva exhaled. "How long until we go to court?" "Probate hearing is expedited," he said. "Next week. But between now and then, we need to rattle her, make her nervous enough to slip. She's still hiding something. I can feel it." Eva didn't say it aloud, but she felt it too. Claire had that look now, the same one she had in 8th grade when she stole Eva's scholarship award letter and pretended it had been lost in the mail. History didn't repeat. Claire did. Back at the house, Claire was sitting in the study, their father's study, sipping coffee she didn't make and flipping through an old, leather-bound notebook she definitely wasn't supposed to have. It was one of Jack Harmon's journals. Half of it was full of floor plans, fix-it lists, and handyman sketches. But near the back, there were notes, personal ones. March 12th. "Claire's here again. Insists I make her executor. Doesn't want legal surprises. I'm not ready to do this." March 15th. "Eva sent flowers. Miss her. Can't get the will changed without help. Lawyer in town said I'd need notarization. Not sure Claire will allow it." March 19th. Claire brought a notary. Seemed off. Didn't ask for ID. I couldn't remember my own zip code today. Everything is slipping. Claire slammed the journal shut. How did she miss this before? Had her father known what she was doing and still gone along with it? Was this his revenge? A breadcrumb trail left behind for Eva? Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She picked it up anyway. "Yes?" "You've been served." A voice. Male. Calm. Then a beep. Claire stood frozen as the doorbell rang. Outside the window, she saw a courier standing in the rain with a sealed envelope. She didn't answer it, not right away. She poured another coffee first. That evening, Eva and Adrian sat in his car across the street from the house, watching as Claire's silhouette paced back and forth behind the curtains. "She got it," Adrian said. "No doubt." Eva nodded, lips pressed together. Let her marinate. She's scared, and when Claire is scared, she overreaches. They were quiet for a long moment. Rain tapped against the windshield like nervous fingers. Finally, Eva asked, "Do you ever think about why Dad split us so cleanly? Why he didn't just try to fix things between us?" Adrian turned toward her. "Maybe he didn't know how." "I don't think I ever gave him a chance," Eva whispered. "I left, not just the town, him." Adrian's voice softened. "You didn't leave. You survived." Meanwhile, Claire was making her own calls. By midnight, she was in the living room with a half-drunk glass of bourbon and her laptop open to a private chat thread. The message on her screen read, "You said this would stay clean, that nothing could be traced. She found Wren Consulting. That's your screw-up." Typing, "You got your cut. I want mine. Fix this." No reply. Another message popped up seconds later. "Then shut it down, or she's going to burn you too." Claire stared at the screen for a long time before deleting the thread and tossing the laptop aside. She had a backup plan. It wasn't legal, it wasn't ethical, but neither was what she'd already done. And if Eva thought she could waltz in after 6 years and take everything, she was in for a brutal wake-up call. 2 days later, Eva got an anonymous envelope slid under her motel door. No return address, no postmark, just a plain white envelope. Inside, one photo. A photo of Adrian and Eva seated together at the courthouse, papers on the table. On the back, in Sharpie, "How many secrets does he have, too?" Eva's breath caught. Her fingers shook. Someone was watching. And now, the game was getting darker. Eva sat motionless on the edge of the motel bed, the photograph still trembling between her fingers. The motel's yellowed lamp buzzed faintly behind her, casting a murky light over the room. She read the message again. How many secrets does he have, too? Adrian. Her mind reeled. Was this real? A bluff? Claire playing mind games? She turned the photo over again and again, scanning it for a clue. But there was nothing. No timestamp, no watermark, no fingerprint of intent. Just the snapshot of the two of them in the courthouse. A moment that had felt safe. Now it felt watched. She met Adrian the next morning at the cafe across from the courthouse. She brought the photo, didn't speak until they were seated in the corner booth, steam rising off her untouched tea. He raised an eyebrow. "You look like you haven't slept." "I didn't," she said, sliding the photo across the table. "This came under my door last night." Adrian picked it up, jaw tightening as he read the back. He looked up slowly. "You think I did this?" "I don't know what to think," Eva admitted. "You've helped me. I trust you. But this, it's meant to rattle me, and whoever sent it knows it would only work if there's a seed of doubt." He leaned back, silent for a moment, then said quietly, "I've kept one thing from you. Not because I was hiding something, but because I wasn't sure if it mattered." Eva's eyes didn't blink. Adrian sighed. "Claire contacted me 2 months before your dad died." "What?" "She wanted to talk estate strategy, said she needed to understand how trusts worked, how to transfer property while avoiding taxes. I thought she was just planning ahead. People do it all the time." "Did you help her?" "No," he said firmly. "I sent her a basic article and told her I couldn't consult since I knew you both. Then I forgot about it." Eva's breath caught. "That's when she started funneling through Wren, isn't it?" she said, voice low. "She couldn't get legal help, so she found a workaround." Adrian nodded. She didn't want legal clarity, she wanted a loophole. Meanwhile, Claire wasn't sleeping either. She stared at the ceiling of the master bedroom she'd claimed like a queen reclaiming her throne, the same bed their father had passed in just weeks ago. The walls felt closer now. Her wineglass sat untouched on the nightstand, and her laptop was open to a burner email account she'd set up 6 months ago. She typed furiously, "If the trust gets exposed, I'm finished. I need it gone. Tell me it's possible." No response. Seconds passed, then a single line popped up. "Paper trails can be erased. Digital ones? Trickier, but doable." She bit her lip. "She's on to everything. I need her off this case." A pause. Then make her credibility disappear. Claire sat back, her pulse thudded in her ears. What did that mean? And more importantly, was she willing to go that far? The next morning, Eva found a second envelope waiting on her windshield. No photo this time, just a single printout. An article. Chicago Tribune. Law student implicated in campus exam leak. No charges filed. Eva froze. Her name was in the subheading. It was from 10 years ago. A disciplinary scare. She hadn't even remembered it. She wasn't guilty, just dragged in when her ex had stolen questions from a locked drawer. She'd been cleared, quietly. But the headline alone was damning. Adrian leaned over and read it beside her. "She's digging up anything she can use." Eva's voice was hollow. "She's not just playing defense anymore." He looked her in the eye. "We need to hit back, publicly." That afternoon, Adrian filed a supplemental petition for emergency evidentiary review, highlighting financial fraud tied to Wren Consulting and forging notary signatures under false pretense. Eva watched him work like a surgeon, precise, ruthless. And for the first time since returning to Willow Ridge, she realized they weren't just building a case, they were building exposure. That evening, as the town settled into its sleepy rhythm, Eva stood alone in the backyard of her childhood home. The garden beds were overgrown, the fence still crooked from the storm 4 years ago. The old swing set creaked in the wind. She touched the wooden frame gently. Her father had built it himself when they were kids. He painted it blue for Claire, then repainted it green when Eva cried because blue was only her color. This wasn't just about a house, it was about who got remembered, who got erased. And Eva? She wasn't going quietly. Inside, Claire stood in front of the mirror, red lipstick perfectly drawn, hair curled like she had an image to preserve. She opened her closet, reached for the folder marked Plan C. A folder that contained more than property deeds and bank records. Inside were pages of her father's medical charts, signed statements by doctors Claire had taken him to alone, paperwork declaring cognitive awareness she'd quietly pushed through when no one was watching. If the hearing went south, she'd use it, all of it, no matter the cost. The morning of the hearing came fast and cold. The skies over Willow Ridge were a flat slate gray, as if the town itself held its breath for what was coming. Eva stood in front of the mirror in her motel bathroom, fastening a silver clasp at her throat, an old necklace of her mother's. She hadn't worn it since the funeral, but today wasn't about grief. Today was about truth. The courthouse was buzzing by the time Eva arrived. Reporters weren't allowed inside, but whispers had already leaked. Local heiresses, disputed estate, forged wills. Even the clerk glanced twice when Eva signed in. Claire arrived precisely 5 minutes late, in a navy pantsuit, makeup immaculate, but her usual smile was tight. Behind her followed her attorney, a stiff, red-faced man who had clearly prepped for battle. Adrian waited inside, calm and composed, files arranged like dominoes across the bench table. Claire locked eyes with Eva across the room, and for the first time, she didn't smile. The judge was a woman in her 60s, hard-eyed but not unkind. "This is a petition to contest the will of Jack Harmon," she said. "Daughter Eva Harmon alleges undue influence, document forgery, and breach of fiduciary duties by Claire Harmon, listed sole beneficiary. Counsel, proceed." Adrian rose, voice low but firm. "Your Honor, what we present today is not a simple dispute. It is a deliberate, methodical stripping of one daughter's legacy by another, who exploited a dying father's vulnerability. We have physical evidence of an unrevoked prior will, a forged notary stamp on the newer document, and a trust established to protect assets from precisely this type of manipulation." He handed over 3 binders. Claire's attorney objected, claimed hearsay, unreliable witnesses, biased testimony. But the judge held up a hand. Let's hear the witness. The nurse from the hospital took the stand. She was nervous at first, but her story was steady. I remember Mr. Harmon well, she said. His memory came and went those last weeks. He didn't always recognize his surroundings. But I do remember Ms. Clare coming daily. And I remember the day a notary showed up. She didn't follow standard procedure. Didn't even ask for ID. The judge frowned. Adrian followed up with scanned copies of the notary's official resignation, dated a full year before the will was signed. The courtroom murmured. Claire stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. Then came the financial records. Adrian revealed Claire's shell company, Wren Consulting LLC. He laid out each payment, funneled estate funds, preemptive spending, and transfers to accounts under her maiden name. Claire's lawyer tried to counter with claims of executor discretion and timely action, but it didn't hold. And then Eva took the stand. She kept her voice even, her gaze clear. She spoke of the summer she came back to help her father after surgery, how Claire had isolated him, how she found the old will, how her father's journals, now submitted into evidence, had documented fear, confusion, and pressure. When Adrian asked her why she fought, Eva simply said, "Because he loved us both, and someone tried to erase that." Claire's team made one last desperate play. They submitted her Plan C, documents from doctors, signed cognitive tests from clinics she'd taken Jack to, statements that declared him of sound mind. But Adrian had already prepared. He brought in a second specialist, one who had reviewed Jack's hospital records and confirmed major cognitive decline during the same window those documents were signed. The judge took a breath, then ruled. In the matter of the estate of Jack Harmon, I find significant evidence of undue influence and irregularity in the execution of the amended will. The court recognizes the validity of the prior will, dated April 16th, 2 years before Mr. Harmon's passing. All estate assets will be frozen pending distribution per the terms of that document. Claire Harmon is hereby removed as executor. A gasp rippled through the room. The judge turned. Miss Eva Harmon, as listed co-beneficiary and surviving kin, would you accept role as temporary trustee pending probate finalization? Eva stood. Her voice did not shake. I accept. Claire didn't speak as she left the courtroom. She brushed past Eva in the hallway, eyes blazing but mouth shut. Her heels clicked furiously across the tile floor, a sound Eva would remember long after this day. She watched her sister disappear down the corridor like a vanishing shadow of the past. A month later, the Harmon house was quiet again. Contractors were gone, lawsuits dropped, and Eva stood on the porch with a key in her hand. Her key. She stepped inside slowly, touching the banister, the walls, the shelves. She didn't need to keep the house forever, but she needed to restore what had been taken. From her. From their father. From truth. She donated half the trust to the local community center, something Jack Harmon used to talk about but never did. She transferred a portion of the house's value into a scholarship fund, named for both daughters, even Claire. And one evening, as the sun dipped over Willow Ridge, Eva stood in the backyard beneath the old swing set, a glass of wine in her hand, barefoot in the grass. Adrian joined her, quiet at first. So, he said. Now what? Eva smiled faintly. Now I finally go home. He nodded. You sure? She looked back at the house. But at least I'm not leaving with nothing.